Let's say you have an essay like the one we're looking at here about how decibels are a really bad scientific unit, and you want to find anyone on the internet who's ever expressed anything similar. I'll show you how to do that. I do that with semantic search using Exa. They have a free API. You can click here, go to the search there, and then you can type anything here, and it'll find anything with semantic search. So usually what I'll do is I'll either dump the entire essay in here, or I'll just kind of put some key paragraphs that express the ideas. So I'm going to take the one that says he doesn't like the decibel, and I'll just take the next paragraph too, which is about how it doesn't measure what it sounds like it measures. I'll run that. In the bottom right, the results will come in. Open it up as a table here. And the first one is this. This is the actual original essay that was just published, which makes sense. It's the closest thing. And there's one from 2017 about what is a decibel anyway. The one that I thought was more spicy is this one from 3 years ago against decibels. Not as popular as this one, which I saw on Hacker News. But I think saying the same thing. And I haven't actually read through these yet. I don't know why they're so upset at decibels, but this gives me an initial bit of a sense of like, okay, when I see someone expressing something I often want to see, has anyone else already talked about this, and what are they saying, and do they know each other, and are they saying the same thing or not? Okay, so this is how you can do it, and I think this is really profound, and more people should be aware of this and start using systems like this. Because I mean, here's how I think about it. Like, there's this idea that like the internet is like too full. It's like too noisy. There's too much, and like your ideas, there's no space for them, or like nobody's listening, nobody cares. But I think that's a myth. I think if you could actually look at like a semantic map of the internet, I think you'll see a lot of these completely empty spaces, or like very, very sparse places. Like there's a ton of content, and it's like concentrated in the specific parts, but there's a lot of areas that there's either nobody talking about, or there's very few people talking about. And the problem is these few people can't find each other. But if they can find each other, they can, start companies, or push a new scientific paradigm, or just like emotionally help each other. Because I use the semantic search for other things. Like one thing I was typing earlier was like I get stuck with my writing, because a lot of times if I don't finish it in one sitting, then it feels like I'm like a different person when I come back to it, and like it feels like I'm finishing someone else's essay. And I just kind of threw that statement into the semantic search, and I found actually Visa has this is funny. I found Visa, who you might know on a certain part of Twitter. But it was funny that I found someone I already knew, and he had been writing about something very similar, and like his method of dealing with it. So it's even about like things that you're emotionally stuck on. And I want people to be aware of this, because you could be, if you can't, you could just write the thing that you feel and that is important to you, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't get the attention, or if you don't have the audience. If other people are also using this, if they also have the same idea, either they're writing about it or they're like querying it, they'll find you. You'll find each other. Like think of it like this, like everyone, like you have these like weirdos in the middle of people who are otherwise normal, and you feel like you're alone, but actually you're not alone. It's like there's one of you in all these different clusters, and in the past it was really hard to like find these people. That's what you want to do. You want to connect these people, and then these people then go on and create a new scene, and then they spread, and etc. So that's like the work of scene building, and finding your people and growing and starting creating cultural change in the world. But we sort of have the tools now to just like decentralize, find each other. All you have to do is write your thing. And once you write it, it's indexed in the system. You just literally put it anywhere on the internet, and it'll be here. Or you type, if you don't have to share. You can just type your query in there. But if if no one's actually publishing it on the internet, then we can't find it each other. So if you have something and you can't find it on here, if you publish it, even if you have no audience, then it's in the system. You're the first one in there, and then anyone else looking for it afterwards will see that, and then maybe they'll be encouraged to write their version or reach out, and it can keep going from there. Okay, so that's the gist. Now I'm just gonna show you a few demos that have like helped me get a better intuition of like how semantic search works, and like I want to explain a little bit about how the tech works, so you can get you can make good use of it, and if you're a developer, or a product manager, you can see what's possible and maybe build some stuff on top of this. So here's like a little demo I made that explains like the fundamental underlying tech, which is the way semantic search works is that using like language models, we have a way to compute like the distance between any two pieces of text in what I'm calling like idea space. So these are the same. This is the same document in both. So the similarity is like 1, which is like the maximum it can be. It's like they're 100% similar. The smallest it could be would be like 0 if they're like there's no way they're related and it's in between. So if I can change this sentence to say, instead of I love ice cream, I could say I hate ice cream, and this should decrease the similarities. Now it's 0.83. And if I say my favorite flavor is chocolate, that should decrease it even more. Now it's 0.69. If I could say I could flip it and say my least favorite is strawberry instead of my favorite strawberry, and that goes down more. Now this similarity is still fairly high, even though I've like completely flipped the meaning. But that's because we're still talking about the same thing. We're still talking about ice cream, and we're still talking about strawberry. It's just that instead of loving it, you hate it. So that's the difference. So this is important to understand, because like when I was searching like the decibel article, like it would have also pulled up people who were like, potentially dismissing that criticism, who were like talking about the same thing but with a different conclusion. So what will give you a small number here? It would have to be something like completely unrelated. So if I say, I learned to ride a bike at 14, this should give us a much smaller number. Okay, so the cool thing is that this works on literally anything. You can put any two things in here. For example, I could put the United States of America, and on the right side I can put China. And I'm going to see that this is the distance between the US and China. Okay, so instead of China, if I put Canada, I should expect the similarity to be higher, because those two ideas are closer together. And it is a little higher. If I put, you could do like China here and Japan here. And okay, so Japan and China are closer together than like the US and Canada. Just interesting in this system. You could also do this is a fun one: male, masculine, man, and on the right side, let's do the example that we expect. So I'm gonna put trucks. Okay, I'm gonna get some number 0.2, and then if I put like lipstick, I should expect smaller similarity. And that's correct, just a little bit smaller. And that would represent the trucks as a concept are closer to masculinity than lipstick. And where do these relationships come from? It basically comes from our culture, and the language model is picking that up as a proxy from the way we use language, the way we write in books, in news, in social media, just generally on the internet. So most of the relationships here are what you would expect. So I mean, I think if I were to put, female, woman, femininity, and then I think it should be closer to lipsticks, 0.29, and then trucks, Let's see. So this is like a real bias that's, you know, that is an expectation in culture. It's correctly captured by the language model. But the fact that you can do this between any two things is really fascinating, because you could rank anything in this way. You could sort of rank, like, I mean, all words. You can rank all words between like how masculine and feminine they appear in the culture. But also, like, I don't know, crazy things. I don't know if this really makes sense, but like you could put like the United States of America, one. Okay, and then what about Canada? I don't know if this really tells you anything. What does this mean? Canada is more feminine than the U.S. It may or may not really capture anything. It sort of depends on how much you know culture, but this is the basic idea, and from here we can build a kind of map. So I have this here. Like, we have the ability to compute distances between two pieces of text. Okay, so if we can do that, you can build a kind of Google Maps, but for like idea space, and we can start like find your neighbors in this space. I showed you the EXA search. So I mean, let me show you a simple example of like what would like a Google Maps thing look like. It's just like from a tutorial I wrote about how to write the code to do this. So the technical explanation of how to get to this is when, like in this demo, when I give it these two documents, it goes to the OpenAI embedding model. Each document becomes converted into a vector. That vector is like a point in high dimensional space, and then you can project that down to 2D. So where to go? It's not important. Technical details, if that doesn't make sense to you, it's not important. The important thing is there are algorithms that can take this and put it into a two-dimensional map in a way that tries to maintain the relative distances. So there's no like one correct way to get this 2D map. There's a lot of different ways, because there's better visualizations out there, but let me just explain this. So if you were to do like coffee and coffee shop, though those should be very close together. Wi-Fi I would expect to be still close to coffee shop, because that's conceptually close. Chicken should be furthest away because it's completely unrelated. Man, boy, and woman should be close together but further away from the other stuff. And perhaps like the human cluster in the top left here should be closer to coffee shop than chicken, I think. So this is like a toy example that I made. If you were to actually make this, it might look a little different. And actually, how good you are in making these by hand and how close they reflect to the real map, I think tells you a little bit of like how well you understand human culture, or at least the pieces reflected by the training data. And so here's what it would look like on like a real data set. So this is like 6 million tweets, I think, over a period of like a decade from like 250 people. And so this is the same thing. It's like each dot here is a tweet. Tweets close together in meaning are going to be close together on the map. I can hover over to see what they talk about. So the cool thing is like you can see islands. You can see islands in idea space, right? You have I think one of the more interesting ones has been like there's like a philosophy island, a rationality island. There's a metaphysics. Yeah, the metaphysics one is not really an island. It's kind of connected to everything, which is cool. I think in this map they're colored by username. There's really interesting patterns here. Like any kind of island which has a lot of different colors. Just kind of visually, intuitively, this is like, okay, a lot of different people are here. A lot of different people are here. Okay, but then it stands out when you have like one color. So what does this mean? This means like there's a piece in idea space that like only this guy is writing in. And in this case, it's actually very cool because, well, this is the consciousness island. And the orange is Andres, who is he's a pioneer in this space. He founded like the Qualia Research Institute, who's pioneering like a new paradigm for understanding consciousness. So it's actually very cool to be able to like empirically see that his ideas are novel and actually see how they developed. So there's a little timeline slider here where you can see how like in the middle there was like everyone was talking about consciousness, okay, about all different things. That's cool. And then the top left here is empty until like he starts to fill it in. I think if we could do this a little more carefully, you could see once he starts mapping out that space, others kind of follow, and he kind of builds a bridge. You could see him building a bridge between these two parts of idea space. So this is kind of the vision. Like imagine this is the whole internet. Imagine you're writing your blogs on Substack and you see where each of your posts fits into this big idea space in relation to everyone else that like you're reading and you're following. And like imagine waking up, like imagine writing something very personal or interesting or weird, and then waking up and someone across the internet who's thinking about the same thing, finding you and sort of adding, contributing a piece, and you finding each other's missing pieces. Or imagine you're just kind of watching this space. Like imagine seeing like a space that's been previously like completely empty, a piece of idea space that's empty, and then seeing a new island develop in it and being able to sort of rewind back and see like, wait, who started this? What's going on? How do I follow this new development? And so that's it. That's kind of the vision. There's a lot of like low hanging fruit here. I mean, the big vision I wanted to do was this kind of network of like people writing blogs. Like imagine a web page that you just kind of stick in your an RSS feed to your Substack, to your Blue Sky, to Twitter, wherever you write on the internet, it doesn't matter. You put it into a map like this, and then you find your peers. And like you can have like your own network of like, these are the people that I trust and follow, and so I want to see what the spread of what we're talking about and sort of find each other in this space. And at the same time, you can have this the internet-wide network. So if there's gaps in you could have gaps in your own network, and then you can go and do a search across the internet for something new that you're developing, and then maybe no one in your network is writing about it, but then you find someone else in a different network and they're writing about that, and then you can sort of exchange information or invite them in your network or combine your networks, and it can sort of grow recursively like that. So that's the gist. That's semantic search. Thanks for watching.